There's only one British racing car company that always finished or won the 2,000 races they entered, has a heritage going back to the 1890s, produced the most competitive and successful racing car of the 1950s, and was the only car company in the world officially sanctioned by Jaguar boss Sir William Lyons.
And its name is Lister. And it's the only racing car company in the country that still uses the same tools, the same plans, and some of the original staff that made these cars. This, quite simply, is Britain's longest established racing car company. And in a sleepy corner of Cambridgeshire, the Lister brand is burning brightly.
That original D-type beating Lister Nobly is now being remanufactured as an exact toolroom replica, correct in every detail. The meticulously hand-built race-spec 330 brake 3.8-litre D-type engine has a dry sump, wide-angle head and triple Webers, plus de Dion rear suspension, hand-beaten alloy body and Dunlop peg racing wheels. This isn't a half-hearted replica or homage car, but a forensically perfect facsimile of the legendary Nobly, complete with a continuation Lister chassis number. And that obsessive attention to detail means the same giant-killing performance that made the Nobly so famous. 0 to 60 in 4.3 seconds and a howling top speed of 180 miles an hour.
In 1954, the first Lister Nobly emerged from the Lister factory to begin a motorsport career that will never, ever be forgotten. And what I find so wonderful is that not much has changed in 60 years, right down to the fact, and this really is the greatest bit of all, is that there are people here who worked on those original cars all those years ago. But the really unique part of the whole Lister legend is the man that started it all. I'm off to see Brian Lister.
Welcome to the rectory.
Thank you very much, Brian.
And have a look in the barn.
The Nobly is spoken of in hushed and hallowed terms. How does that feel, Brian?
It feels good. What else can I say? Exceptionally proud of it, that they've considered it worthwhile putting the effort that they obviously have into the car, because that car that the boys have put together is far better finished than the ones that we made. You couldn't get those standards in the time that we had available then, and different materials and indeed different techniques.
What is the best thing about the Nobly that you remember?
It had a purposeful kind of look. People appreciated and enthused about. Also, the standard of workmanship and craftsmanship that went into it. That isn't just me, you know, that's the team. And they were very proud of the record that they'd built up.
So what was your proudest moment?
I think when Archie, who had been banned from the previous year's Empire Trophy because of his disability, this was in the early days, and he won the bloody race. Quite important race in those days. Well, it made all the papers and gave him and us some marvellous publicity. Stirling is an unemotional driver.
And that translated into higher speeds?
Certainly in higher lap speeds.
That publicity you got then, photographed everywhere, you were like movie stars.
Yeah, he loved everything about what he was doing.
Sir Stirling, how did it feel to be part of all that Lister mythology?
Well, just I think the engineering was considerably advanced over the Jaguar. I mean, it was a far better racing car than the Jag was. Racing in those days hadn't got the pressure it has now, and so that was quite different. And people, you know, had a lot of fun and enjoyment, and we went, you know, from one race to another, hopefully doing as well as we could. I think, frankly, that you're always fairly proud if you're dealing with a winner. and it was a car that would beat the other ones. I mean, Brown, Lister, and the whole team were very keen and excited about how the car went. We'd go out and develop the car, make it as good as it could be. And when you've done that, there no other car of a similar type that could touch it.
Is it too strong a statement to say that the Nobly was one of the best racing cars of its era?
Yes, I would say so, certainly. Yeah, very definitely.
For people who are going to buy continuation Lister Noblys, what would you say?
Go to the original craftsmen who created our cars, and they're still there.
But the Lister story didn't end in the 1950s. In 1986, Lawrence Pierce developed the 200-mile-an-hour, £115,000 Lister Le Mans. Then in 1993 came the Lister Storm, which for 12 unchallenged years held the title of the fastest four-seater car in the entire world. The Storm won the FIA GT Championship in 2000 and, like the Nobly before it, the British Empire Trophy, plus a haversack of other ones. But the great news for enthusiasts all over the world is the Lister brand is still in rude health. In 2013, Andrew and Lawrence Whitaker invested heavily to make sure this national treasure goes on and on and on.
It feels like an absolute honour to be here in the St Pancras Hotel. We're up for Personal Achievement of the Year by the Historic Motoring Awards. is truly fantastic, and I'm just happy to be nominated, to be honest. Building a car from scratch in a year and getting orders for £3.5 million for new cars, I think is an achievement. I've got a lot to thank my dad for, because it was him who wanted to buy the company. Getting to the stage we're at now has been a joint effort, but it's been something that I wouldn't have done without my dad. And I'm pleased that we've been able to get to this point. Any award is a reflection of the guys on the shop floor who are making the car, who are working at the Lister factory day in, day out, and I think they'll be overjoyed. And I do feel really welcomed by everybody in the historic motoring fraternity that I've been welcomed here.
Well, as a Lister driver, thank you for restoring the company to its good health.
To have a manufacturer back out on track is, well, it's possibly unique in historic racing, certainly from the 1950s. The thing that differentiates us from modern motorsport, I believe, more than anything else, is the social side of it. What goes on in the bar afterwards is as important as what happens on the racetrack, in my view.
Duncan, by the way, has been a real help to us. When we were making a Lister from scratch again, he saw the importance of getting the cars racing, and he knew our passion in making the car as original as possible. And he's let the car race in the Stirling Moss Trophy, and that has been one of the biggest plus points for anyone buying a new Lister Nobly. The world's press has always been behind us with Lister. Once you get a journalist in the hot seat, driving the car, and they're doing 160 miles an hour along an airfield strip, then they can't fail to have a smile on their face.
The thought of being able to buy that driving experience as a new product is truly exciting. The sensation you have of opening that door, that beautifully trimmed interior, those Smith's gauges, that noise of the Jaguar 6, and the way it moves, and bearing in mind it's so much faster than it ever was in period. I mean, you've got well over 300 horsepower now. It's a seriously fast car.
We've got a lot of journalists who want to drive the car, and it's always nice to come to these events and meet people who are really passionate, and as passionate as I am about the company.
One of the sponsors tonight was Lister Cars, a company that I've got a little soft spot for, having raced one of their lovely Nobly Lister Jaguars at Goodwood Revival meeting about the first 6 times. And now, of course, it's fantastic news that Lister's being revived. They're building cars exactly as they were built back in 1958. And I think that's just a lovely touch, and it's a great thing to see such a great name having a new life.
That Lister is still flourishing is a miracle on the scale of loaves and fishes when so many other racing car companies of the era have just disappeared. And this car is going to be as raw, hard-charging and competitive in modern historic racing as it always has been. The Lister Nobly lives again.